Welcome to PNRShow Season 5, Episode 1, Holiday Dregs.
Hi! The Laurel and Hardy Music YouTube channel. Awesome. Hello.
Hi, Rob.
Welcome to the Pint of No Return show. Your one-stop shop for a trio of boozing beer bros. That's right, I said trio. So long, Jeremy, he who must not be named. Except they just named him.
Oh, sad.
Yeah,
The
that's
epic
it.
Fails right off the beginning.
That's
so
right.
So many, too many to count.
I know. Season 5, we are down a man. Jeremy has gone on to that great brewery in the sky, and is enjoying ales and sitting back and listening to us ramble on about nothing in particular.
But grooms his mustache.
That's right. Groom away, my friend. Groom away. But we are going to press on. We're going to press on nails with a brand new season of entertainment for y'all. And how much are we charging for this entertainment, you may ask?
Not enough.
Or possibly too much.
If free is too much, then call us guilty, I guess. Hi, I'm Rob. I'm joined by Keith and Gary, and you've stumbled onto accidentally the Pint of No Return show while looking probably for a sports podcast or something about chicks at Hooters. We've got us drinking beer and one of us holding puppies up to the camera while the other plays Laurel and Hardy music from the 1930s. Hi!
Hey, Rob.
If you're not familiar with the show, that's good because we're changing it up a little bit. We're going to go with a little more of a relaxed atmosphere this year. Perhaps not so regimented. We're going to be drinking beers and talking about beers, of course, because that's the core of this podcast. But we're also going to just kind of shoot the bull. Not, so here's our topic segment. Here's our pick segment. Here's where we fill for 5 minutes because we don't know what to talk about. Instead, you're going to get a half an hour of us filling. We don't know what to talk about.
It's just all fill.
Yeah.
You just get
It's
all
just more,
fill. All
it's
the
just
content.
banter. We're so comfortable with each other now that we can just banter and not have to worry about things like theme and direction. And
Well, it's sort of like a three-way video call that we're letting the world look in on.
yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. So normally on the Pint of No Return show, now this will stay the same for the most part in our podcasts. Normally, we're going to each have the same beer, even though we're in different locations. Literally, 3 different. We're literally across the country. Keith is in New York.
Yep.
Gary's in California. I'm in Texas. But we've come together for you, the listening public. And normally, we will have the three bottles of the same beer, which we'll drink and talk about and kind of get our different assessments. We have very different palates as far as beer goes. But this week, since it's the first week back of season, we're doing what we call a BYOB, which is a bring your own beer, or 2 or 3, as the boys probably have done because they enjoy their drinking. So, guys, you just want to tell us what you brought?
Well, this is the Holiday Dregs episode. So the idea is bring whatever seasonal beer is left over in your fridge from New Year's Eve, Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever events you had around.
It'd be a pumpkin beer.
Yeah, sure. Bring whatever you got.
Pumpkin beer.
However, I have a fair amount of dregs this year, so I have choices, and I'm going to let you guys pick what I drink.
Ooh.
So, First up is a contestant from the Genesee Brew House right here in Rochester. This is their dark chocolate Scotch ale.
Oh.
Now, when you do a chocolate beer, normally you do it in a stout or a porter, but this is in a Scotch ale, which is kind of a medium, more of a medium weight, but with dark chocolate. I served this at my New Year's Eve party. I never tasted it. So this one, I have no feelings about it all yet.
Is that a new brew? Is that a new brew for Genesee, or has that been around for a while?
It's seasonal. It's this year's winter seasonal.
Gotcha.
I have Blue Point, which is out of Long Island. Their winter ale. Hello, camera.
I believe we've done a Blue Point before.
There we go. I'll show you down here now because my camera's deciding to be wonky.
Nice.
And then I have the last one I have is Southern Tier, which is just a little south of us. This is a raspberry white wheat beer. But I'll tell you, I've had this one, and that label is a little deceptive.
Oh.
So there's your 3 beers to choose from. I will reset my camera here.
All right. So
I'll let you know what...
Gary and I will lock in our votes.
You can lock in your votes and let me know what I'm drinking, or at least what I'm drinking first.
All right, I'm going to vote for that chocolate Scotch ale because that doesn't.
Yeah, I'll probably go with that as well. I mean, if you hadn't tried it before, I would have said the white, but the chocolate's intriguing.
Well, if we don't get to the white, I will mention it at the end of the show as well.
I brought 2 with me as well, so I imagine 1 beer is not going to be enough tonight. So
it's been that kind of night.
Yeah. Gary, what did you bring with you?
Well, I'm starting off with the Celebration Ale from Sierra Nevada.
Yes.
It's a holiday staple. I have a couple bottles left from the 6-pack, so I'm having that. And I guess if we're doing 2 beers, I'll have to go see what else is in the fridge. So.
Well, it's just as you feel. You feel the thirst come along.
I may feel the thirst. I have a pretty nice stout from Lagunitas that is actually in the garage. It's probably at the right temperature for a stout. It's it's really
50, 55 degrees. Sounds good for a stout.
Yeah, it's probably perfect. So cool. I may run and grab that.
So I was away for most of the holidays, or for Christmas anyway. So I don't have any holiday beers. What I do have though is from the Lazy Magnolia Brewery, a Southern Pecan, as they say down here in the South, or up in the North where Keith and I are from, pecan.
That'd be a pecan beer, Rob.
Pecan. It's a pecan nut brown ale.
That sounds good.
Is brewed with roasted pecans. And then in addition, I brought one that our buddy Jeremy, I've done it, and he's not even on the show anymore.
He's not even on the show.
Our buddy Jeremy sent us. I brought some Henry's cane sugar hard cherry cola.
Oh, never had that.
Yeah,
I've seen the brand, but I haven't gone.
Is that like Henry Weinhardt's?
It's Blitz Weinhardt Brewing Company. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they make a good regular like root beer, conventional root beer that I've always enjoyed.
Actually, now that I think about this, I don't think Jeremy sent this to me. I think I bought it myself.
Yeah.
I think it looked good. All right. So, but I'm going to do the nut brown. So let's pop these open. Tonight, when we decided if we did have a topic to kind of just shoot the breeze with, we're just going to kind of drink and pour, guys.
Yeah, I'm pouring.
We decided we did need to talk about Star Wars. We haven't had a chance to discuss that yet, so we'll be just chatting the breeze, shooting the breeze. So, prost, guys.
Right, prost. I'm still pouring. Cheers.
Sorry. Well, before I sip, I have to comment on the nose to this thing. This is an amazing nose. Not only does it smell of dark chocolate, it smells of like banana and clove. So this is my mouth watering for like a chocolate covered banana right now, which is not what I expected when I poured a Scotch ale.
Remember that old banana bread beer we had? Mm-hmm. Oh man,
I still go back to that once or twice a year.
Do you really? I haven't had that in a while. Well, I will tell you, I am a lover of nut brown ales. Newcastle is one of my favorite beers of all time. which they had on tap for a little while on the cruise that I was on until they ran out really quickly because apparently it's a lot of people's favorite beer.
Actually, Rob,
this,
it was just you. You drank it all.
No, I only had one glass of it.
They only have like a pony.
But I will tell you, I will tell you that right off the bat, and this is no hyperbole, this Lazy Magnolia Southern Pecan is a better beer than the Newcastle. This may be my favorite brown ale of all time now.
Wow.
It's so good and even and smooth. Delicious. I have to get more of that. Well done, Lazy Magnolia. It's Mississippi's oldest brewery, by the way.
Wow. Okay. How old are they, though? Like, 3 years or something?
Great question.
They just figured out brewing in Mississippi.
Wow, that's not nice.
Yeah. They could have laws against it or something.
I will look it up while you tell us about your beer, Gary.
Celebration Ale. It's what it is, folks. Sierra Nevada. They do it every year. It's a fresh hop IPA. It doesn't taste much like a winter beer. I guess it's maybe a little darker than some IPAs. It's definitely more on the amber side. But it's really good. I enjoy it every year. It's one of the better holiday beers. There's a lot of holiday beers that they overspice them. They try to do things that are really creative, and they end up just tasting like piss. So hats off to Celebration Ale. Yeah. Or licked one of Santa's reindeers in the nether regions or something.
Good Lord.
But Celebration Ale is good. I mean, Sierra Nevada makes great IPAs and pale ales, obviously, and they just did a slightly variation spin on an IPA, and it's good every year.
Well, interestingly, Keith was actually kind of right. The Lazy Magnolia Brewing Company has only been around since 2003.
And they're the oldest brewer.
And they're the oldest one. They're out of Kill, Mississippi, which I believe is where Brett Favre is from.
Kill? That's like K-I-L-L?
K-I-L-N, but it's pronounced Kill.
Oh.
The N is silent. Just to not mistake it with, pottery, you'd rather be associated with murder. It's the first packaged brewery since Prohibition, and I might add, the Southern Pecan Nut Brown Ale beer won the 2006 bronze medal in the World Beer Cup in the specialty beer category. So apparently, I picked a good one.
That is good. It's very nice.
That is good.
Yeah. Delicious. So good. Really good.
That actually sounds like a good beer. You'll have to find
if you like
more.
Brown ales. This is I will include this in the pack I'm going to send you guys.
I was just saying, if it's readily available to you, that would be a great include.
I got this at the grocery store, so yeah, absolutely.
Like it.
Mm-hmm. So Keith's camera is drunk.
Yeah.
Better than Keith, though. Better my camera than me. This is so far fantastic, by the way. This is living up to the nose. The sweet malt from the Scotch ale is acting very banana-like, and it's a perfect mix with the dark chocolate. This is ridiculously good. As definitely a sweet or an after-dinner beer, but I am sucking it down. It's nearly gone.
So we've got the Genesee dark chocolate, the Genesee dark chocolate Scotch ale. We've got Gary's Sierra Nevada. What was it called? The Holiday Ale? Celebration Ale. Thank you. Sorry. And the Lazy Magnolia Southern Pecan. Those three, we are here at the Pint of No Return show going to recommend highly to you.
Yeah, we were 3 for 3 so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, did you go and see Star Wars?
Nah, skipped it.
Yeah, I haven't actually.
I'm sorry, Keith. I should have asked Keith. I know Gary went probably on the first night like I did.
I didn't. I waited until Monday because the movie theater in Petaluma kind of sucks now with the way they're doing tickets and stuff. You have to buy in advance. Well, they don't have that. But you have to they're assigned seating, so I didn't buy my tickets the day they came out, so I had to wait until Monday, which was fine because I didn't want to deal with all the crowds and stuff. So,
and Keith has the kids, so he may not have got
the kids and the holidays and the stuff, and it's definitely on our radar, but we haven't done it yet.
You actually have not seen the movie yet?
I have not seen the movie.
Oh my goodness! How are we?
Sorry, are you going to be okay with spoilers? Because
I am okay with spoilers. At this point, it's my own damn fault. I'll deal with it as it comes.
I know. I mean, we don't have to spoil it.
And to be honest, I've heard a lot already because in the instant the controversy started showing up, I kind of researched it a little bit because I wanted to know what was going on. So
the controversy.
What was the controversy?
There's controversy. Don't you guys know about the Star? Half the fans hate it. Half the fans love it.
That's every Star Wars movie now.
Man, that's not, but that's not controversial.
So let's.
It's enough that it made national news.
Let's go with that first because I kind of ranted about this on Facebook a little bit because yes, about half of my friends really liked it and the other half really hated it. And I honestly have come to the realization, and I've been in this camp too for a long time, but I've come to the realization that we have at our age level, us guys, like when over in our 40s, 50s, whatever, that grew up on the first three movies, right? We have so romanticized those first three films into something legendary and godlike that no matter what was brought to us, we'd find something to nitpick about and to find fault with it. And we just don't have that sentimental attachment necessarily to these films as we do to those three original ones. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Empire Strikes Back is a great film. It's my favorite of the series. It's actually the best film easily for me by far. But if you look at Star Wars, the first one, it was groundbreaking. That's for sure. But if you hold it up against the standard of today's films, it's not that great of a film.
But you can't hold it up against the standard of today's film. You have to look at the film at the time. I mean, you can say that about anything with music, art, cars, whatever. It's like you can't. It's a different standard.
I will respectfully disagree because I can hold up a film like The Godfather up against any film that comes out. And with very few exceptions, I will choose The Godfather as one of the best films of all time.
All right. Well, okay. So what? This may be pushing it into a tangent, but what about the original film then doesn't hold up? Now, I will argue. I didn't say it doesn't hold up. I will argue that the special effects could be updated, but the story,
they still hold up pretty good too.
The story, the acting, all that stuff, I think is fine. I don't have a problem with that film today.
Again, you're misinterpreting what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you hold it up to if you hold it up to the standard of the quality of acting today, the special effects today, the plot development of a lot of films today,
those are all points I just brought up.
It doesn't hold up as well.
I think
that's
it does.
all. That doesn't mean I don't love the film. I do love the film.
I didn't say you didn't love the film. I did say that I think those points outside of special effects, which could use updating, and honestly, they could remaster it and do those special effects again. I think the acting holds up. I think the plot development holds up. I think the story holds up. The only thing I don't think holds up compared to today's films is the special effects.
And I actually think the special effects are fine in that because I've seen a lot of movies from that era, and they're with special effects, and they look really cheesy. But if you watch that movie today, yeah, you can see those were special effects done in the late 70s, but they still look pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I said, it's a groundbreaking film, and I will tell you that if I have the choice of watching Star Wars digitally remastered or its original cut, I will choose the original cut.
Yeah,
because I have that sentimental attachment to it. Because I remember growing up watching when I saw the TIE fighters fly across the screen over the Death Star, you could see the little film cuts over where the TIE fighter has been superimposed on the background of the Death Star. It doesn't bother me. I like
most importantly because Han shot first.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that for that alone.
Well,
Now,
I mean, you can actually make the argument about special effects even in this movie, because I thought the animation of Snoke when they were in the Red Throne Room, it was really annoying to me. Like they had him walking around and moving and stuff, and it looked. I expected it to be a lot better, especially after what we saw with Governor Tarkin in Rogue One.
Yeah. So, do you think that was done as an intentional nod to the original films, or just they biffed it?
No,
it's a style.
I think that it was a character they decided to do in CGI that they shouldn't have done in CGI.
Which, I mean, by the way, so first of all, let me just jump back to what I was saying. I love the original trilogy, and I personally believe that we've romanticized it a lot, so that we make an impossible standard for the new films to jump over. That being said, I thought The Last Jedi was great. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. Did I love every part of it? No. Did I think that there were some sections that they could have cut out? Yes, absolutely. But on the whole, I thought it was a great film. Thing about Snoke, I can't recall.
Well, hold on. Let me give my overall impression, and then we'll get into details. That was your overall impression, right?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
My overall impression is that the community was set up by Force Awakens as just being a new Star Wars movie. That made it awesome. And Rogue One, which was just an incredible movie all around. And then we get this movie, which is a very good movie, a very entertaining, a very enjoyable movie. But I felt like it was about a half an hour too long.
Yeah.
And I saw it twice. I saw it once with the kids, and Gilly went and we saw it together. And I actually enjoyed it much better the second time. So I would say that
I've heard that from a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. That they had to go the shock.
It was like that.
Go in again and really see the details. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were a lot of nuances to this movie that make it from many perspectives one of the most complex Star Wars movies that's ever been done.
Yeah.
And they are trying to do things in this movie, and I think they did them pretty well, that are really cool and that are trying to set it apart from the nostalgia of the original series.
Yeah.
And I appreciated and enjoyed this film so much better the second time.
Yeah. So I will say that I completely agree with you, Gary, that I think that in The Force Awakens, they tried to do something. It was kind of like half trying to do something new and half paying homage to the original trilogy, which was great. And it worked for the most part.
I think it did, yeah.
And then in The Last Jedi, what I thought they tried to do was, okay, now we're going into uncharted territory.
And they weren't even subtle about it.
No.
I mean, Kylo Ren's kill it if you have to.
Yeah.
You know, Luke said, this is not what you think it's good. This is not going to turn out how you think it's going to turn out. I mean,
I was completely fine with it. And in The Force Awakens, I loved it, but I knew where it was going. In The Last Jedi, this is the first Star Wars film where I had no clue what was going to happen.
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
was great.
That was one of the best things about it, because the trailers, I think a lot of people made assumptions about what the film was going to do and what it was going to be based on the trailers. Mm-hmm. And my assumptions based on the trailers were completely wrong.
Yeah.
Like completely. I was so far off base on.
Yeah.
So, which was good.
Oh, it was great. So I was going to say about Snoke, since you mentioned Snoke, if we want to talk about just a few details, has there ever been a greater build-up to the supervillain in one movie, only to be so easily and summarily dismissed in another? I mean,
oh my God, I know.
I thought Snoke there was big plans on the horizon for Snoke, and given the Force and Star Wars universe, who knows what may happen yet? But Snoke was kind of just dispatched with rather easily, in my opinion.
That in all of the talk I've heard about this movie, the whole sequence of the Red Throne Room is what everybody is talking about. because there was that sequence of and they broke it up with interspersing the other storylines, but that to me, that scene in that room was the heart and soul of this movie. That was everything that this movie was about, wrapped up into that one scene. And it was to me, it was stunningly shot. The set design, the Imperial Guards with their multiple weapons, the way they set up the plot points of that, and the betrayal, and it was the betrayal was almost multifaceted, because you had the whole thing about Kylo Ren betrayed Rey by bringing her there, and then Kylo Ren betrays the Snoke, and then Kylo Ren again betrays Rey.
Yes.
It's like
he loves her. He loves her. Then he hates her. Then he loves her again.
Like,
and then
it's
very complex.
That scene and sequence is worth going to see the movie just for that alone.
Yeah, and then you've got Luke Skywalker. He loves the Force. He hates the Force. He uses the Force, and he basically dismisses himself from the Force for years, and then he comes back and not only embraces the Force, but uses it in the most kick-ass way. By the way, I will say this. This is the greatest use of the Force in any Star Wars film. What Luke Skywalker does at the end.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And it was funny because they did really nice foreshadowing of that scene, because the scene with him and Yoda coming into this movie was just such a nice,
fantastic.
What a nice treat. And it was the Empire Strikes Back Muppety looking Yoda thing, not an animated thing from the prequels, right? It was this. Right. So that was nice. But
and by the way, Yoda really tied in kind of the conflicts that all of us fans have had with the Force over the years, and the conflicts they had in the original trilogy. And Yoda basically came on and said, "You know what? We didn't have everything right. Yeah. We screwed up.
Yeah.
We're not all-knowing and all-powerful. We're as fallible as anyone else. We just have incredible power at our fingertips. But we messed up, and when we mess up with that much power, it's messed up in a big way."
Yeah, that was cool. But the foreshadowing of the last scene was how Yoda would like hit Luke. Like he was physically feeling what Yoda was doing, right? So in the previous movies, whenever you saw a dead Jedi, it was just a ghost figure.
Right.
But in this movie, they did it where Yoda actually has physical presence there. So that, and then they took that one step further with that final scene with Luke and Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice tie-in.
And incidentally, just to kind of do the reverse path on Luke, Luke's introduction in this film, I mean, I was laughing for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes. I was laughing at his introduction. That was the greatest thing ever. Keith doesn't care. Perfect. Keith doesn't care about spoilers. Do you care to hear what happens?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the end of the Force Awakens, you have Rey holding up the lightsaber to Luke, right? Okay. So in the beginning, their first scene together, she goes a little closer. He takes the lightsaber in her hand. He's looking all poignant.
Examining it,
he's examining it. Yeah. He's turning it over in his hand, and then he tosses it over his shoulder off the cliff. Like, F this lightsaber. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, whatever.
It was amazing.
That's awesome.
That's what I said. Like the trailers, you assumed that he was going to be like, "Here's my new Padawan. We're going to start training," and he's just like, fuck this."
So, and also, too, Gary, when you talk about things being, the truths from a certain point of view and kind of the conflicting stories, what happened between Luke and Kylo Ren is explained in this film.
Yeah, that is.
But what you find out is that everybody has their own perspective on what happened, and everyone they're both right and they're both wrong at the same time.
To me, that was such a statement about that was like the most political statement that this movie made. I mean, the other movies have made some political statements, undertones, but this one to me was it. Like, you all think you're right, and you are, but you're also all wrong. and you need to figure out where the happy medium is so that you can communicate to each other and with each other at the right level and understand each other's perspectives.
Right.
That's just that was
Yeah,
my
and
takeaway from
that theme too is kind of carried through with Poe Dameron's arc in the film, where he is kind of becomes the de facto big man on campus in the Resistance. But the way that the Resistance, with the way Leia is carrying things out, and the way that her second in command kind of takes over the reins for a while, he's really struggling against it and kind of goes out on his own. When you may be a hotshot pilot, but you don't know everything.
Yeah,
and there are reasons for why we're doing what we're doing. There's an importance to winning the battle if you can, for sure, but you want to be able to stay alive to try to win the war, and that's something he didn't understand yet.
That storyline, his storyline, and Finn's storyline. When I came out of that movie with the kids and we were talking, and none of us we were all kind of going like, why did they even have that in the movie? Like, why were they going off to this other planet and that whole thing? And then when I saw it again the second time, it made a lot more sense as to why that was.
I hope so, because that's the half hour I was talking about that could have been cut, in my opinion. I've only seen it once, so.
Well, it's possible that's setting up for the next movie too.
No,
not really.
It was really about Poe and Finn's character development more than anything, and where they're going to go in the next movie. The storyline could have been they could have done that in a much more streamlined way. So I think they could have missed.
It's maturing those two characters very quickly, I think, is what they were trying to do.
Yeah, they were trying to do that.
But it also was a very clear statement about the kind of the sins of avarice and greed. Because they go to this planet to try to find a supposed smuggler or thief that's going to help them get onto this massive Star Destroyer to help them escape, right?
Yeah.
Which is weird, because the whole thrust of the film is that the Resistance is trying to outrun the First Order, but they don't have, the main ship doesn't have their jump drive. They can't go to hyperspace, so they're all sticking together.
They could go to hyperspace, but they realize it's pointless.
Right. So they're just being constantly chased, and they go to this planet of basically a casino planet where all the rich people hang out, and it's the 1%ers. They're the ones that make the armaments and the weapons and the spaceships. But
it was Monte Carlo.
Yeah, and it turns out that they've been selling armaments and ships to both sides, and just getting rich and fat off the war. So they were clearly trying to make a statement there.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that they can't, but
yeah, that was kind of an obvious statement.
That kind of pulled me out of the story for a little while.
Yeah, it did. That was a tangent they didn't need to do, and it also exposes a plot hole, because what was her name? Rose? Was her name Rose?
Rose, yeah.
And Finn took off in the ship at light speed, and went to a planet and came back. And I don't know what the capacity of that ship is.
I don't understand.
Like, how many people could be on that ship, right? Like, let's say it's 8 people.
Yeah.
In the course of this whole long chase sequence, why don't you just keep running that shuttle back and forth to places and get people off the main ships?
Sure. Yes. Like, and why?
Even if you don't get everybody, you get a lot.
Why when they see this ship? Why when the First Order sees this ship exit out of the rebel fleet? Why aren't they sending anyone to go after it?
But that was the thing. They didn't see it, because the whole hyperdrive thing was, they were only following the main ship with the hyperspace thing.
Right.
So when the little ship went out, they didn't even notice it because it left at light speed.
Okay.
So but still, it was kind of, but whatever. It still didn't overall. I don't know. Yes, they could have shortened that, but still, it was a good movie. The one thing for me that kind of made it hard to watch the first time was Carrie Fisher, and not her specifically, but Carrie Fisher died after the filming wrapped up, and so I assumed, and everybody I talked to assumed that Princess Leia would die in this film.
Right.
And so the whole movie, I was waiting for that emotional scene where Princess Leia dies.
Right.
Right. And so the first time I saw it, I like the whole time I was like, okay, this is where she dies. And then there was one point where it was
there's a spot where she definitely can be where she dies.
Where she dies. And then
that also was another big kind of a plot hole.
A little bit, but not, the Force.
Yeah, I didn't know the Force allows you to be ejected into the cold vacuum of space and survive and basically fly Superman-like into a ship and be saved.
Well,
but Princess Leia can do that.
Princess Leia can do that. So if Yoda can whack Luke Skywalker with his cane after being dead for how many years?
But Princess Leia's had no training. That we know of. I guess that we know of.
But Leia has always had Force awareness. Has always had.
Well, Force awareness, besides that setup, that premise has been done in other movies to reasonable effect, too, that you don't die instantly in the vacuum of space, that there is time, a little bit, although it may be, before you freeze to death, where you can transfer, from one vessel to another with minimal damage. And
the other thing is that
it is possible. Having not seen the scene, it's hard for me to say, but it sounds like something that's.
But he's right. It was very clearly set up a nice spot. It was kind of in mostly the beginning of the film, where it looks like she's dead, and she's like, oh, okay. So I'm thinking to myself, as sure Gary was too. Oh, okay. So here's where they got rid of Leia.
And they didn't. And so
so she was alive at the end of the film and still leading the resistance.
Yeah, well, handing over the reins of the resistance.
But she's still there, though.
She's still there. But so to me, Carrie Fisher's death tainted my first viewing of this film because I was expecting her character to die, and it didn't. And because of that, I kept expecting it, and so I was, and because of that emotional attachment to the original trilogy. That's a significant event. Like when Han Solo died in The Force Awakens, everybody was like, that was significant. And so you were waiting for that, and it never happened in the movie. And then when I saw it the second time, I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I was able to focus on the movie.
In itself was kind of its own little cliffhanger. The fact that she didn't die.
A little bit, yeah. And one of the podcasts I listened to, with Jason Snell, he talked about that, and his take was that they decided to let this be Carrie Fisher's last performance and let it stand as it was and not try to redo it after she died. Just here is her last performance, and enjoy it and love her for it. And I thought that was a great way to do it. So
right. Anyway, so where are you with Kylo Ren? So we haven't really touched on Kylo Ren much. His development, I guess you could say.
So I'm going to start with Adam Driver, and Adam Driver is the best actor that has ever been in a Star Wars movie.
Wow.
Well, maybe not the best actor that's been, but the best acting performance in a Star Wars movie. Because there's been some good actors in some Star Wars movies, right? But
interesting
his performance in this movie in particular, I think, was really good. Kylo Ren's great. I love the character of Kylo Ren and the conflict and everything, because it's kind of like everything you assumed about Darth Vader, but you're seeing it played out in a much more dramatic and obvious way. And he doesn't. I love his rage issues. Like, in the first movie, he had some scenes where he was just destroying stuff, and there would be like a couple of stormtroopers that would see it and they like turn around and walk away. And, he had a couple of those kind of moments in this movie as well. And it's just great to see somebody completely lose it and go off the hook and, have that thing. And then the flip side is the emotional and personal conflict that he's having. But, I think the Kylo Ren Rey story arc is going to be fantastic in the next movie. That's what I'm looking for. I could care less about Finn and Poe. It's all about Ren and Rey.
He's your main baddie. I mean,
yeah.
Snoke is gone. Snoke is gone. Phasma, I mean, once again, nice introduction of a character that really has no bearing on the story at all. She barely had anything to do. No more Phasma.
Yeah.
No more Snoke.
That's
General Hux is not much of a villain. So now you've got Kylo Ren basically carrying the load.
What did you think of that opening sequence where Hux is talking to Poe in the?
Okay, so here's the thing. Domhnall Gleeson, which is his name. You know him from the Harry Potter films. He's been in like a ton of great a Deus Ex Machina, some really, really good movies. He's a great actor, a son of a really awesome actor, Brendan Gleeson. I think that the slant either that he took or they wanted him to take on this character was just entirely wrong. He's just like a sniveling. I'm thinking to myself, how did this guy ever rise through the ranks to become the #1 military commander in the First Order?
Snoke told Kylo Ren.
Why?
He said it in the movie. He said,
"Why? How?"
He said, "You need." It was basically because he is so gullible and pliable.
Oh.
I mean,
okay, well, sure, all right.
Snoke flat out said how he got to where he was in the movie. It was one line.
How Hux got to where he was? Hux got to where he was?
Yeah,
okay.
It was
I definitely will have to go see it again because
it was one line and it was perfect. I can't remember his exact phrasing of it, but it was basically like, I needed someone to be my tool, and this guy was it.
Right. Oh well, so I mean, like we said though, overall impressions. Really good. I love it. I mean, where would this rank, to kind of put a bow on this, Gary? Where would this rank on the continuum of Star Wars films?
Well,
where would you rank?
Are we counting the prequels?
Sure.
Add them in.
And Rogue One.
Well,
it's a Star Wars film.
The prequels are all at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, to me, Rogue One is maybe my favorite Star Wars movie. And I have a hard time even saying that because of the attachment to the other movies, but I think Rogue One's there. This is not going to rank up in the top of, at the top movie. It's probably somewhere. Well, I guess if you ranked them, Rogue One, probably Empire Strikes Back, probably Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, and then this one. So it's probably around 4, 5, 6 in that range.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you. For me, I would flip flop Empire and Rogue One. I mean, I think Rogue One's fantastic. It's a great war film, buddy movie. It's basically the Dirty Dozen in Star Wars, or the Magnificent Seven. It's a great film. But I mean, Empire for me is always the best. And then Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, I think I probably would put this one slightly ahead of The Force Awakens, but it's very close.
Yeah.
And then the prequel.
Yeah, I could convince myself of that pretty easily because The Force Awakens was kind of had so much rehashing of the previous trilogy that I could see ranking this better because this one really did everything different.
Yeah. It just was so different from Star Wars. It just felt like something fresh, but still in that universe. And I think that Luke's arc in this film is, I loved where his character went in this movie.
Yeah.
So
Keith, this has been a great show for
you. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know when I finally see it. I can't agree more though with Rogue One being probably my favorite of the Star Wars movies that I've seen to date, which is all of them except the one you guys are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
This won't change that opinion.
Yeah, I have a feeling that'll hold. Probably Empire will stay second, but I'm looking forward to this picking up a third place spot. So.
It just may. I do agree with you. I do need to go back and see it again. I really do.
It is it is a very rich movie in terms of what they are doing, and you don't get that in one viewing.
It's funny that I'm sorry, just a little tag. In the Return of the Jedi, when Ben Kenobi kind of, Luke confronts Ben about why he didn't tell him that Vader was his father. Spoiler. And Kenobi kind of says it's from a certain point of view, and everyone kind of rips that line or that sequence to shreds. Interestingly enough, if you watch a cut scene or a deleted scene from Return of the Jedi, it was originally going to be in there that Yoda told Kenobi not to tell Luke about his father because it was too much of a burden on him. That it was actually Yoda's idea not to tell him. Anyway, but they took a lot of flack for, and it's one of the things people criticize Return of the Jedi about this stupid explanation. But I kept thinking of that phrase when I was watching The Last Jedi. It's all depends on your point of view. And that's really true in this. There's a lot of dichotomy with all of the characters, that there's a good side, a bad side. They do smart things, dumb things. And so if you go into this film with that kind of a viewpoint, I think you'll really enjoy it. Yeah,
I think so. And know that Princess Leia doesn't die.
No, she's good. It's all good. So with this new loosey-goosey format, I mean, since we're closing in on an hour, I guess we're going to skip our picks or hold them over.
Yeah, I'll just hold them to the next time.
All right.
This was a good discussion. I didn't want to interrupt it, but we are pushing along. So
that's what she said.
We're going to rate these beers.
Yeah, I'll give Southern Pecan a 10. That's an easy one. It's awesome, delicious.
Wow, Rob doesn't do that very often.
Yeah.
No, but he does love his brown ales.
I do.
So
how do you want to rate yours?
I really enjoyed the dark chocolate Scotch ale. In fact, I need to go get the other one that's upstairs and let my wife try it, because I have a feeling she'll really like it too. I would give that as a specialty Scotch ale, which you don't see very often. That's got to be a 9. And while you guys were rambling on poetically about Star Wars, I dipped into the raspberry white, which I have to say, this is my last one, and I have been enjoying it so much. I'm probably going to buy another 6-pack before it disappears from the store. This is a fantastic beer. The raspberry in it is so tart that you will forget that this is a wheat beer. It blows away the smoothness and the little bit of spice you get from a white or a wheat, and it's just focused on tart raspberries and smooth drinking. It's a fantastic surprise for a winter beer, and I think that's what really throws me, is the raspberries in a winter beer like this. Really, really great, easy to drink. If you love sour beers, this is worth a try. If you're interested in sour beers, this is a good entry point. Super tart raspberry flavor that's obviously not from a syrup. It's from crushed raspberries in the malt with the wheat beer. Really good.
Nice. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And pretty in pink.
Oh, I get this wrong. And pretty. I'm going to give Celebration Ale a 7. Because it's good. I mean, it's not like the most fabulous IPA that I've ever had, but it's good and it's very drinkable, and I'll continue to buy a 6-pack every year around Christmas.
Lovely. All right, so we're going to close out Season 5, Episode 1. New season, guys.
Are we going to close out with regular music or more Laurel and Hardy?
Let's close out.
Just do the normal thing.
Let's close out with the regular music. I don't think Gary dug the Laurel and Hardy music.
I'd rather have lager than lies.
All right, so coming up next week, hopefully, episode 2. Getting on track again with the beer. Hope you join us. Talk about it to your friends. Give us some feedback. You love it. Plan No Return Show. Thanks, everybody.
Take a strong stout over stride.